This week on This Week in Google, our last show of the year. Stacey's here, Jeff's here, Ant's here, the whole gang's here. There's a lot of random stuff to talk about. We're going to give Jeff some good news about the new Samsung Galaxy Chromebook 2. We'll talk about another podcast network, this time being sold to Amazon for hundreds of millions of dollars. And is Substack the future of media? It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 592, recorded December 30th, 2020. Hats on Sticks. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, last show of the year, everybody. Episode 592. It's the 30th day of December. Stacey Higginbotham is all bundled up because she's the closest to the North Pole here. Stacey on IoT.com. Hi, Stacey.
I feel like Jeff might be close.
I might be.
Jeff's in Jersey. Jersey, as they said in Hamilton, everything's legal in Jersey. I don't think you could ever say that Jersey's close to the North Pole. Could you really say that? But are you saying latitudinally he might be?
Well,
right.
How do I find this out? What do we do? Google Maps should tell us.
So
something,
just,
right?
I think you can Google what is my latitude.
Yeah.
Google's really good on that. And see if it does it. Maybe not. No, it doesn't. You know how to.
Oh, no, it does.
It does?
Okay, so my latitude is 47.6062 degrees
She's at
north.
the
What's yours?
47th parallel. Mr. Jarvis,
47th
where are
and a half.
you? 47th and
I
a half.
don't know yet. It didn't do it for me. So I'm going to
What city in New Jersey are you
I'm
in?
at latitude of 40.7.
Oh, yes. He's in the 40s. He's not even close.
Nothing. All right.
Hunter. And also
well,
with
that's
this,
New York City.
a man whose heart is deep in the South, but whose body and mind we have brought north, Mr. Ant Pruitt from Hands-On Photography. Hello, Anthony Pruitt.
Hello, Mr. Laporte.
You said you were going to say y'all a bunch on the show today.
Yeah, I plan on saying that
All
word
right.
a few times
All right.
because awesome listeners and followers on Twitter tend to enjoy little tidbits like that for their drinking game. So drink up, y'all.
Is that what I saw this going on Twitter? Jeff said his drinking game would be Gutenberg, but I think Moral Panic would really get you a little higher.
Get you slunkered.
That's when I drink.
Yeah. What would we say for
That's what started
Stacey?
all this.
Just ooh.
No, it was y'all for Stacey.
Oh, yeah, she says y'all too.
Stacey,
I-
but I'm a Southerner too,
But-
so
Yeah,
I can't help it. I'm
and
going to have to say y'all.
I think that's twice the drinking. I think that's just fine.
I just say yo.
I just gonna have to. Yo. I'm just gonna have to do this to Stacey because we should start the show with a nightmare, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, hold on. Can I mention something?
Yeah.
We introed the show This Week in Google, and we actually used a Google service to start the show.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, good point.
We set a record, so there we got
Our work
Google
is
talk
done.
out of the way.
We don't have to do any more Google
Now we
for
can
the,
talk about anything else.
the rest of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the dancing robots. This makes
Are you allowed to
Stacey
play the music or not?
so happy. Oh, I'm sure I'm not. This will get us taken down for sure. Let me turn on my audio, though, just in case, because I think you really should hear it. Or maybe not. Maybe it's more interesting without the music. Imagine, if you will, a robot dancing to "Do You Love Me?"
Well, Leo, you do
Whitney
it. You
Houston?
sing it.
Do you love me? Somebody said this is what the robots are going to look like when they dance on our graves.
Oh, jeez.
That is an
people.
appropriate comment.
Yeah.
No, they're lovable now.
So
How could you not love this?
Oh, my goodness. You and your...
Oh.
Notice, though,
Do you
that
see
there
how
is-
limber that robot is?
Notice,
How
though,
many angles of motion it has?
there is also a wall between them and the humans. I don't think that's by accident. I think it's a real litmus test for how people feel about robots and technology.
That'd
Because
be my date at the prom.
some people look at this and go, "Oh, isn't that cute? The robots are dancing. They're still dancing, by the way." And other people look at it and go, "Oh my God! Imagine that coming bounding out of the forest with armor, running at you."
Just imagine. I mean, think about this. You know, let's say you're a dissident and the police
Yes.
use these robots. They're
Yes.
not, but it doesn't matter how well they dance if they can use those same moves like the
They're
crane.
agile.
They could like Karate Kid you.
Exactly. They're agile is the point. And really, that's
Friend
the
Charlie Hoover sent that to me. He's a fan of the show as well. And after he sent it to me, I asked him, I said, does this humanize it more for you? Because that was the first thing that come to my mind is everybody just being all like Miss Stacey and afraid of them. But I think this is just another leap, if you will, and bound for just how far this tech has come and what it could potentially be for us. We've all wanted robots, right?
does it concern any of you that now it's owned by a South Korean firm, Hyundai?
No, that's probably actually better.
Doesn't concern me.
Yeah, when Google had it, I was a little worried. When
Yeah,
it was
Google
a
sold
standalone
it.
in searching.
SoftBank had it.
Yeah.
And now Hyundai, which makes sense because Hyundai makes, everything else.
You see, what strikes me is if the first thing they had done was not the scary stuff, but they had done this. If they'd done a robot ballet, I think we'd look at it.
There was a little
If they-
ballet
if
in
It really was. And if they enclosed them with a different, they didn't look so mechanical.
It gives a nutcracker kind of a whole new meaning, though. Not exactly a Christmas festivity.
Only you.
Anyway,
Jeff, I would tell you, even if they danced first for me, I would still be terrified of them because they represent an agile, scary device that could be used against people.
yeah.
It's the same reason, like, if you're dancing with a gun, I still think, dude, that person has a gun.
Same with cars.
It's nice that he dances, but I just don't dance over here, buddy boy. Well, here's the Google angle on that. You'll now be able to, if they do a TikTok video, find it on Google search because they are now going to put TikTok and Instagram and other short form video at the top, not just YouTube.
A carousel.
In the carousel of Google love. Okay, I got the Google angle in there.
The thing
for
I
you.
don't know is how are they going to what's the taxonomic structure they're going to use to search and categorize and prioritize them? How the heck do you know what it's about?
Do you tag your TikToks?
AI. Yeah, I'm sure you tag them. Yeah.
Well, but that's not reliable.
No. Can you put robot text in your TikToks?
Yeah.
Robots? Did you say robots?
Sure you can.
Sorry.
Hold on, let me ask one of the kids because they would know. I don't.
I mean, Google has AI that can say, like, broadly, this person
Absolutely.
is dancing, this person is happy.
If you use Google Photos,
the Macarena.
you know that they don't need any tags. They can categorize all
How
sorts
would
of
they
stuff.
How would they guess Sarah Cooper's videos? What the heck?
Well, I don't know. Does Google never use any human input? Do they ever have any like categorizers?
Only in judging.
They're going to
the work
hire a bunch of teenagers to
What do you
annotate
call this?
TikTok videos.
I don't know. It's kind of lip syncing. I don't know. Is it comedy?
That's how it will work, though.
It's not funny, man.
That would be awesome. My daughter would be like, oh, this is another stupid, this type, because there's the whole, I tried to convince, okay, I'm still working on this, y'all, but I tried to convince my family to learn a TikTok dance as something to do over the holidays. What?
Y'all. We had a
You
y'all.
said y'all.
Oh.
Have a Topo Chico, everybody.
But no one will do it with me. And I'm really sad because we don't have to put it on the internet. But I thought, what better way to celebrate the holidays when you're cooped up inside than learning a TikTok dance?
I know. In fact, it's such a phenomenon now, a cultural phenomenon now, that I see more and more advertisers doing either TikTok style advertising. I watched an awful lot of football over the past week. I couldn't do much else. And
awesome.
There was, I watched NFL. I'm sorry, I didn't watch college football, but there was a lot of TikTok-like ads. And then Jack in the Box actually, they didn't say TikTok, but they actually said, we have a new version of the chicken dance. And they did TikTok style.
I saw that.
You saw that, right? If you look at it, that was clearly hoping TikTok influencers would pick it up. And this is such a phenomenon now. And yet, by the way, among the ads on the NFL, a lot of ads paid for by TikTok. The NFL also used TikTok in its ads. And I wasn't clear which were which, to be honest with you. That was unclear. So isn't TikTok's status in hanging by a thread? What's going on? Is it over?
What did your president say about it?
No.
I don't.
They're gonna hang on for 21 days and then never mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, Aunt, we do have just for you the story behind how Ratatouille, the TikTok musical, was made.
Oh boy!
I did this to you, Aunt. I did this to you.
Is that? Did I find it already? Did I find the Easter egg already?
Nope. That's not it. That's not it. But you know what, Aunt? I failed here. I have been trying for the last hour to buy a ticket for you, and their ticketing is down.
To see Ratatouille?
Yeah, I was trying to surprise them, but it's online, and it says we're finding your seat for you.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that. Tickets are on sale now at Ratatouille.
Keep it. Just keep it.
It does. Look, it's for a good cause, Aunt. The Actors Fund. 2 days, 1 hour, 20 minutes.
I heard Wayne Brady is doing it. What part is he playing?
So this is part of the story. Look at the cast. The cast is unbelievable. That's one of the stories I put.
I don't know if Wayne Brady is unbelievable, but okay.
Let me first.
Well,
I like Wayne Brady. Okay.
For a pandemic.
I do too. I mean,
Stacey, our
whose line is it
it's
anyway?
$5. I love how they put the whole month of January. Like there's going to be a lot of tickets available. It's one day. Oh, they're doing it in cities. Is this a physical thing you go see?
No, this is a platform for buying tickets.
Oh, generally. I see. I get it. So they don't know that
they don't
all the shows are closed. All right.
Well, go through the cast. Leo, the story's up there.
I will. I can't click off of it yet. There we go.
Oh, I see.
This is why it's not a democracy. I don't know if I have to explain this to you.
No, Leo, it's a revolution.
Only I know what's going on.
No. The authoritarian Mr. Laporte.
Oh, I love Titus Burgess. And let's see who else. It's Adam Lambert.
Adam Lambert? Isn't that dude on The Voice?
Yeah. He's like one of them.
Oh, what's that annoying singer?
It's either The Voice or the
Mass Singer.
No, Wayne Brett, Kevin Chamberlain, Mary Testa, Priscilla Lopez. You know, he won either the American Idol or The Voice. I can't remember which one. And who's going to be Remy?
About American Idol.
Who's going to be Rebby? That's the question. You want to watch just a little? Just a little?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've seen this.
Oh, you've already seen this. I wasn't here.
Remy is Titus Burgess.
Oh, perfect. Love Titus Burgess. $5.
Just send them to $5 and not watch it.
Yeah, you don't have to watch it.
No.
Okay.
We're going to do a thing where the more minutes you watch it, the more people will give to the cause, and you'll be duty bound, and morally bound, because you're a nice, good man to watch the whole
It's the
thing.
Twig
and we're going to put it on
Twig
what's it
Watch-a-thon.
So
Snitch?
Reddit bought a TikTok rival called Dub Smash, hoping to add their kind of TikTok style creation tools to Reddit.
I don't associate Reddit with fun teenagers hanging out doing dance moves.
Well, clearly you don't
associate
follow
with
the right subreddits. Reddit
don't.
really, even more than Twitter, has its own personality depending on which subreddits you follow. I only follow like programming and geek stuff, and it's completely
I
bland.
follow the smart home stuff.
Yeah, it's perfect for that.
Oh no, the sourdough one's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I used to follow that one too. Another reason
With
for
this
Leo
Dub Smash,
to
though.
be depressed today. Apparently, I didn't know this, but Wondery, you knew already, didn't you? Wondery was one of the last great independent podcast companies. Did you know that?
There's one more.
There's
we
one
talked
left.
about it when it was.
Well, it's official now. Amazon got them for $300 million. When we talked about it last September, mostly we were saying was Apple declined, Spotify declined because it was so much money. Wondery is only 4 years old. We don't know the exact price, but the speculation is $300. Their best shows are true crime series like, and I'm sure you've all listened to Dirty John, Dr. Death, and who can forget the heartwarming Over My Dead Body. Now, here's the good news. They have 10 million uniques a month, which is only about twice what we have. So I figure 150 million.
You'd take 150.
That's fair.
Take Leo
Mr.
out.
Bezos.
Take me out, man.
Bezos.
Yeah, it's Bezos. The real deal is Wondery has a lot of Hollywood deals, TV shows in the works, things like that. Because true crime makes for good TV.
Yeah, but I worked for Condé Nast and I worked for Time Inc. when they thought, and TV Guide, they all thought they were going to have Hollywood deals. They hired executives to do this, and it never worked. Never.
Yeah.
What was the disconnect?
I remember
Why would
one year
it
we
not
had the
work if you have connections.
Still, well, these are huge media companies, and even when Time Inc. became part of Time Warner, it didn't work. I'll always remember we had the year-end most intriguing people, and they had dancers coming out singing the names like Valenza.
Okay, you just
work.
got your answer, Ann. That's why it didn't work.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank you very
Wow.
much.
oh. Maybe if they had Titus Burgess doing it. No, I think all these deals are hard to do in the first place. Second, Hollywood, I don't care, still looks askance at tech, and tech looks askance at Hollywood. This whole thing of convergence, we've been talking about this now for almost 20 years. Quibi is the latest, greatest example of
Jeez.
tech Hollywood convergence. It's an impedance. I call it impedance mismatch, but that's a pretty geeky way to talk.
That's why you're not going to get bought.
That's exactly why.
Yeah, I was about to say. Well, now we know why we're not getting bought.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's an impedance mismatch. That's the problem.
Is it fair to say
We talk
that
about
it's
spectral
the best way for-
efficiency and see how low we can go.
And big endian architectures versus little endian architectures.
They don't like tech. They think they don't know. But Wondery was founded by a guy from Hollywood. It's only a couple of years old, and they made the right decisions, the right deals. If your goal is to get acquired, you tell me, Jeff, because you've been in on a lot of these. There's a different way you build a company if your goal is to get acquired than if you want to just build a company that makes a product that you think is pretty good, right?
Well, I don't know that I know anything more than you or anybody else, but yeah, you're right. And it goes back to the 2000 crash. You use the money to put a lot of hats on sticks over the fort wall and make it look like you're gigantic.
See,
and you have traction.
I need to be able to say
What an
things like
analogy.
that.
What an analogy.
A lot of hats on sticks over the fort wall. Honestly, that's what most podcast networks are, is hats on
Yes.
sticks.
Show title. I love that.
The problem is we're fezzes on sticks here.
It
doesn't work as well. Yeah.
Is it safe to say that it seems like it would be in the best interest for the likes of Amazon, Netflix, to just continue to roll as if they're independent and just keep scraping the people from Hollywood here and there for a particular project and just ship it, get it done, and then move on to the next, about like what they've been doing now?
I don't think that's how they
As opposed
think.
to what,
Shonda
Andrew?
Rhimes.
I don't think that's how they think.
Pardon?
As opposed to what?
Well, looking at this acquisition and saying, hey, we want to be the next Hollywood studio, if you will. Why not just say, hey, let's just continue to be Amazon?
No, that's not how you get to be Amazon. Say, let's just be Amazon. You don't get to be Amazon by saying, we're Amazon. You get to be Amazon by saying, what else can we eat? What else can we engulf, devour, consume, and spit out as a product? That's how you get to be Amazon.
Well, but to Ann's point, at what point did Amazon become a maker to a buyer? Right?
Oh, it has
They
always
made
been
new
a
stuff.
Amazon is very clear on how it works. It looks at data. It says, can I do this better in-house? And it makes it itself. And Amazon still makes lots of things. Think about its brands. Think about its the devices it makes. Think about all the services it launches over AWS or as part of AWS. And then if for some reason it looks at it and is like, people are clearly interested in this, but it's just not going to work for us, they buy it. And yeah, they're super savvy.
So,
oh yeah,
Amazon says we're going to make Wondery part of Amazon Music, so, which is interesting. So Amazon has music, Apple has music, Google has music, Spotify has music. Spotify is a pure play. Everybody else has music as a secondary business for other. I don't know why they have music, but they do. One thing that all of them were right about, and there were a lot of, by the way, smaller companies that kind of stumbled along the way, like I guess Pandora is still around, but Deezer and Tidal, and there were a lot of small music businesses that may be still around, but not doing great. What they saw was the shift in listening habits from buying CDs, buying records, buying cassettes, to streaming everything. And they thought, if we build a business, but it's a synergy. I don't think any of them are that's why Spotify is really in the tough position, and that's why they've been most aggressive about buying content.
Was that something the market did, or was that something the companies forced because of all the copyright?
No, the market
things?
did it.
Words,
I think the companies
we used to buy our songs. We can't buy them anymore.
Yeah, I think the companies saw it. Apple did it. If anybody did it, Apple did it when they said, and people often point to this as the demarcation, when they said to record companies.
Spotify was the first streamer before.
Yeah, no, but this is when it began. As before streaming, Apple said to the record labels, you can't sell albums anymore. You got to sell every record as a 99-cent single.
Right.
And the record company said, we can't do that. All the money is in albums, mostly because their artists weren't capable of 10 great songs, but they could do 3, surround them with 7 filler songs, and sell it as an album. And that was their music model. And Apple broke it back in the late 90s, early 2000s with iTunes, and with the 99-cent single. They forced that. At that point, people stopped buying physical media. iTunes quickly became the number one place to buy music. But and Apple was slow to the streaming music. Even buying music wasn't enough. It turned out, and that's when Spotify came along. You're right, Stacey. They said, why buy it? Rent it. You don't like it enough to buy it. So instead of buying an album from Taylor Swift or even buying a single, they further disaggregated it. They said, instead of buying a 99-cent single, you pay us $15 a month. You get it all, as long as you keep paying us. And I think consumers jumped on that. That's when the market said, okay, that's a good deal.
Geeks complained. Geeks.
A lot of
said,
people complained.
I own my song forever.
People still complain.
I want to hold it where I need it to
consumers
be
said, no,
on my
great.
hard drive.
It did not take a long time for
you're
people
right.
just to say, I don't need to own it anymore. You're right. They still say that about books occasionally, and by the way, book sales and CD sales were through the roof in 2020. We're gonna get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's a pandemic blip. Streaming clearly dominated. But then Spotify had a problem because they don't make their music. They just sell it. And all the record companies are kind of putting people like Taylor Swift are saying, you can't give away my music anymore. I'm not making enough money. And the big stars are putting the screw to them, the record labels are putting the screw to them. And that's when Spotify said, all right, we need our own content. And that's when they saw podcasts as a savior. I don't honestly think any of these guys think podcasts are an alternative or an equally valuable business to music. Not even close. They're spending a lot of money on it, but not close to
It's
what.
so confusing. Like I don't understand what the obsession with podcast is.
I don't either.
Podcasts.
And I know a little
She
bit about
said on a
podcasts.
podcast.
Yeah.
No,
kid,
no, I
After making
agree.
her own podcast.
I'm like, what percentage of the population of people who listen to podcasts is still relatively small, isn't it?
It's
like
growing very
maybe a
rapidly.
quarter?
Yeah, but it was
Okay, so
2%,
you wanna
then
get
it was
in on the
5%.
growth.
Yeah, but it's also as a defensive tactic, at least from Spotify's point of view, against the record labels.
That's
But-
true. And if you think about podcasts also as like the new talk radio, right?
That's
then
right.
it makes a little bit more sense
That's right.
too.
By the way, there are a few big players now. There's Spotify, Amazon suddenly is a big player in this. By the way, Audible had been adding podcasts too. So Amazon has spoken word in both audiobooks and podcasts already, but now they
Double
add
dipping.
Wondery. And then there's Apple, which doesn't currently own podcasts, but is widely rumored to be building up a podcast library of stuff and content library of stuff. But that's been rumors was going on for a long time. And then
So like they're like studios? I mean,
Yeah,
Apple's
it's
where
a
everyone
studio
goes
model.
to. They already have a library of podcasts.
yeah,
It's-
no, but they don't
it's
own
all
them and they don't make
podcasts.
money on them.
Okay, yeah.
They're just how you get them. They're the pipe.
Come on, I need a living,
The
people.
vessel.
They're a dumb pipe.
Just let me have it.
Yeah. But there are a lot of other companies that are looking this at, and one of them is the big radio company which employs me for the radio show, which is iHeart. iHeartMedia is the largest radio company in the United States, and for years radio has said, "Oh, we'll always be here. We'll always be here. People always listen to radio." And I've even said on this show and others, radio's dying. And people say, no, I love radio. Listen to radio all the time. Everybody I know listens to radio. Folks, trust me. Radio, if not dead, is dying. And
Who's listening to the radio?
that was my question. Right. But our chat room says, we do. We listen all the time. So I don't know.
I mean, my
tell me
dad
this.
listens to the radio.
Yeah.
My daughter can't conceive of the radio. She's
Right.
like, I don't understand why you would.
Well, that's
It's
what happened.
on when it's on.
This is the big shift in media in general is your daughter, everybody under 20, they don't watch TV. They don't listen to the radio. They don't consume media anything like we do.
Nope.
My kids listen to
It's
Sirius,
awesome.
but they often listen to
They don't make phone calls.
the reruns.
So why do your kids listen to Sirius? It must be in the car.
It's in the car, and they're listening to Howard Stern or
Yeah,
the
that's
Liberal
because of
Channel
you.
Or
That's because of you. My kids don't
Hey.
listen to Sirius.
When I had Sirius, Sirius subscription a couple of years ago, my kids, they enjoyed it because it made more sense to them to be able to hop
Than
in
radio.
there and listen to on-demand content, if
Right.
you will.
Than radio.
Because we had the
CBO.
radio in the car, and we flip it over to the radio, and they realized
You got
how
no control.
bad radio
Yeah.
was for them
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
an experience.
Radio killed itself with 19 minutes of commercials an hour.
yeah. Well, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
In Europe, radio is
Well,
still.
that's what happened with television.
Yeah, same thing. So I mean, these
And-
companies did not embrace the opportunity. That's for sure.
When I tried to,
But if I
Turn
talk
on
to
the radio
Europeans,
in the
if I talk to
car
people in
at
Germany,
all.
Go ahead, Stacey.
Stacey.
Oh, I was just going to say it's NPR because there's not
No
unless-
commercials. Yeah.
just straight content.
Yeah.
But go Germany.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying that if the people there say radio, they love radio still.
Yeah, but they still have government radio, right?
But it also influences the commercial.
Okay.
By the way, and you're a little soft. So the
I
problem
think
is I'm talking
radio
over you twice, so I
is
can't
hanging
hear you.
on by a thread still, even though it's dying, because some people still just don't quite get the concept of podcast. I can look at just my small circle in general. When I mentioned, coming out to California to work at a podcast network, they first question by
What
some
the hell
was,
you
"What is
doing?"
a podcast, right? Like, what is a podcast?
What are you-
And when I finally figured out the best explanation was to tell them it was like having talk radio, on a regular basis when you want it, kind of thing, not just because
But to
it
keep
happened to
Jeff-
be on at that particular hour. But the problem was the disconnect of how do I access that? You tell a 20-year-old to get to a podcast through their favorite app on their phone, that's no big deal. But you tell someone that's slightly older than me to do such a thing, and they're like, I got to do what on my phone? Why can't I just put it on the radio in the living room? Or, and it just seems like those are the people that are still holding on to radio,
Think about it. There's still a market for mainframes, y'all.
Yeah.
And so
there is.
Just to forestall
the mainframe of content.
Just to forestall Jeff's Gutenberg moment here. No new media has ever Topo Chico. No new media has ever replaced the old media. No, radio didn't replace newspapers. TV didn't replace radio. Movies didn't. They just diminish them and become the next thing. But
McLuhan,
all that stuff
McLuhan
exists.
moment. McLuhan says that the content, that the old medium becomes the content of the new medium.
Oh, I like it. It's like a snake eating its tail.
Right, and it doesn't really have anything yet. Of course, that changes over time. But Gutenberg print was manuscripted first, right? For the first 50 years of it,
McLuhan, that's
mimicking,
quite an insight. I agree with him.
Well, it's McLuhan's, not mine.
Well, if you look at the internet, what was the internet when it first started? It was brochures and magazines and TV
it's
shows.
Recognizable as
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we haven't yet. Maybe podcasting is the first new medium, but it's
No,
like
you know what I think
radio.
the first one
though,
is?
isn't it?
No. You know what it is?
TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Ratatouille the musical,
High five, Leo.
Ant, shows the future. This is the future you're stuck in, Ant.
Oh, wait.
No, wrong way, Stacey.
This way.
I'm looking at Ray Gunn, Mr. Howell, in our chat rooms. There are plenty of people who aren't interested in on-demand media. They really want.
I agree.
They don't really want that much control.
That's what
So they
Spotify's
forget
for.
it.
They listen to Spotify.
Yeah, like I listen to my daily mix on Spotify, or one of my 6 daily mixes on Spotify all the time, because I don't want to like constantly be like, oh.
This doesn't preclude that by any means. There's all sorts of ways to do it without having to think about it. In fact, NPR has its own podcast app. It's interesting. This probably was the insight that created NPR One. They said, well, just start it. And we'll just put stuff in there. And you just keep listening.
That's right.
And it'll never end.
Yeah.
There's
It's
a
like
market
the
for
internet.
that.
You can scroll all the way down and
Yeah,
it'll
never
end.
gets to the bottom.
Well, what's interesting there, too, I know the guy who started it, Kinsey Wilson, and
Name dropper.
political struggles within the NPR network.
Well, they have
Because
a
the stations were not
complicated,
happy.
Yeah, they have a very complicated financial structure.
Right.
And they can't piss off the funders, which are the stations. But at the same time, I think
the funders are the customers in a sense.
Yeah. But this is
Yeah, I've got my
exactly
tote
why
bag.
radio stations have had a hard time with podcasts. And it's why, in a way, iHeartMedia is surprisingly smart, because they are building a massive podcast empire, very, very successful podcast empire, on a parallel track to their radio business, knowing that at some point the train's going to change over.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's how Verizon handled its wireline and its mobile networks for years. And finally,
Yep.
the revenue switched.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's a
landline
Versus
phones and
newspapers which don't
broadband.
have that.
They didn't have a second
Newspapers
track.
could have
try to
had that.
recreate the old.
Yeah.
They
needed a
could
second
have
track.
had a viable
They could
business
have, yes.
online,
Yes.
but they did not.
Yes. Nope.
We're going to actually, I want to. Okay, can we change the subject?
Well, it's not a democracy, so I guess you can.
I'm asking you.
I did have one more question for you, but you can change it. Because it's
A
not
good
democracy.
dictator knows when to pretend he's interested in the opinion of his subjects. Go ahead, Ant. What did you want to ask?
Well, you mentioned how these different platforms or mediums, they don't necessarily wipe out the original one. They just sort of eat away at it. And it made me think about that Dub Smash, whatever you just talked about a
that
second
Reddit
ago.
just bought.
What's the point of, what do you think their play is? Is it to really try to take out TikTok, or is it just a nibble here and there? Because I personally think that's pointless. Because we have too many options already out there, and TikTok seems to have a really strong hold on that type of
And don't you remember that
content
chart we
anyway.
had about 3 weeks ago where every service is now getting every service?
Oh
every
yeah,
service?
everybody's just mimicking
Yeah.
each other just because.
Yeah, I think so.
I honestly think that the companies that do real original thought are few and far between, and maybe they're the most successful. But most companies go, oh, what's the other guy doing? We don't want to, we're in trouble. We got to keep up. And so a lot of what you see is just Me Tooism, the other kind of Me Tooism.
Well, they have an original thought when they start.
Yeah.
But then, Facebook
Then they're
was an original
scrambling
thought when it started.
Yeah. Well, Reddit actually was not original. It was a complete copy of Dig.
But it's like
Reddit, by the way, is interesting because that's owned by Condé Nast. So Reddit is, in fact, and the money behind Reddit that bought Dubsmash, I presume, directed by Condé Nast money, which is old school publisher, right, Jeff? I mean, that is as old as you get.
That was my boss.
Yeah.
So my boss wanted me, Steve Newhouse, he really loved Dig. And, Steve, you go farther back. One of Steve's
Steve or
orders to
Cy?
me,
Cy's son.
Steve Newhouse. He's Cy's nephew.
Or
He's
nephew.
he's now basically in charge of the company.
Uh-oh. Jeff is frozen.
Jeff.
He's lost to this. There
I couldn't make the contact. I made the wrong
there was a
contact
break.
Otherwise,
There was a break.
He could have gotten in on Facebook.
Oh, hold on,
And he
Jeff.
loved Dig.
Oh my God,
Hold
what's
on,
going
Jeff.
on? Hold on, Jeff. Okay, wait till your line becomes stable. All right, let me see if Jeff is there. Jeff, are you there?
Am I back?
Yes.
Is this
Yes.
2021 yet?
Yeah, no, sorry. Still in 2020.
So close.
So
darn.
You know, I
was
just want to
hoping that
warn
time
people, it's
traveled.
possible 2021 could be worse.
This
Shut your
is
damn
Leo's mood.
No.
Yeah.
It's not just my mood. The CDC just said, this isn't the big one. It's like, what?
Yeah. The CDC also thought this last year's big health issue was mosquitoes.
Yeah, that was the strangest thing ever. The CDC put out a list of the top health issues of 2020. And mosquitoes were number one.
Yeah, and number 2 was something also not COVID.
I think
3,
COVID.
4, and 5 were
yeah.
COVID.
I think, it's like, huh?
Okay, but Jeff was making a point about Reddit and Condé Nast and his boss, Steve Newhouse, who loved Dig.
So,
and that's where
I'll
you
try it
jumped
again.
off.
Back to that story, please.
So I'll try back to 2020.
Yes.
So my boss, originally he loved Facebook, but it was just at Harvard, and he was a Yalie, and he saw what it was. He understood what it was. He's the one who taught me interactivity, and I made a contact with Facebook, but it was with what's his name, the guy who went to Brazil, who wanted to sell ads, and
Glenn
Mark said
Greenwald?
No, the guy on Facebook
Eduardo
who went
Severin?
to Brazil.
Oh, Eduardo
Thank you,
Severin.
Eduardo.
Yes.
So that was the wrong person to go to because he was out of favor, and so I failed.
Hey, who knew? You didn't
So
know.
next, the boss
You hadn't seen the movie
wanted, right? He wanted Dig. Thought Dig was great, and we had a relationship with Dig. So they were wonderful. Dig, Dig was doing great. Dig didn't do anything. So he then kind of cleverly just said, well, Reddit kind of wants to be Dig.
Yeah.
Get it?
Smart.
He got it.
He got Reddit.
And then he got it for a song for nothing. But then wisely saw that to motivate the staff, he had to create equity. So they basically spun it off.
Right.
To create the equity in the
Right.
company so that they could do all the things they've done, so they could buy this company now.
Right. And they've done a good job, I think, a good steward of Reddit.
Yes.
By the way, they were lucky they
Yes.
didn't buy Dig, as it turned
Yes.
out, because Dig immediately
Yes.
cratered, augured in. And Reddit's done quite well for itself. In fact, in the face of pretty daunting headwinds from the Donald channel and white supremacy and Nazi channels and all sorts of issues, they've managed to come out of
How did Red?
above.
So let me ask you this question, and I have an answer to, but I'm curious to hear yours for once. Sorry. Reddit had worse stuff.
God, I think I just got shot. Oh my God.
Reddit had worse stuff than Facebook.
Absolutely.
Reddit had
Far worse.
bad stuff.
Yeah.
And it had a reputation for that at the very beginning, that it managed to get out of that while that bad stuff was still there.
Yeah.
But this idea that no two people see the same Facebook, no, people think everybody sees the same Facebook. No, people see the same Reddit. People get that. Oh yeah, there's a seller and there's some.
Well, you're a
weird
little bit
things
more in
down there the
control of
basement.
that on Reddit. They don't insert stuff into your feed. So
Is that it? Is that it?
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing is on Reddit, it's divided into what they call subreddits, which are subject matter based, basically forums, internet forums. And we were talking before the show, my Reddit is very bland because it's a lot of programming subreddits and technology subreddits. But those are what I follow. Reddit neither inserts content into that nor changes. It's all chronological. In fact, you have complete control of it. It's not all chronological. You could say, I want to see the top stuff, the newest stuff, the most controversial stuff. You get to choose how it's sorted, but sort by new is always available as a choice. And so it isn't algorithmic. That's the biggest difference of all. Reddit is not algorithmic. Facebook is entirely algorithmic. And the reason I stopped using it is even if I turn on the chronological feed on Facebook, it eventually turns it off because it knows that's not what it really wants you to see. It wants you to see the algorithmic.
Let me try it
feed.
another way on you, Leo. Well, I've been spending the last 2 days to get ready for you. I've been spending the last 2 days, actually for the book, reading up on third-person effect. And for folks out there, that's the belief that I'm not affected by stuff. Maybe you're not, but other people are. And I know better. And so this is what I argue that Leo engages in when it comes to Facebook. And one of the papers I read, it says this. Basically, people tend to believe that others are more negatively affected by media messages or Facebook as a way of enhancing self-image. So part of the reason behind this is I make myself look smarter. It's like watching Jeopardy and getting the answers, right? Well, more like Wheel of Fortune. Because I'm the smart one, and well, they're dumb on TV, and yeah, I'm not under pressure, but screw it. The comparison between self and other then constitutes a form of unrealistic and biased optimism. So I'm optimistic about myself, and that's motivated by the need for ego enhancement, this paper says. But what I say about others is, well, surely they see a lot more stuff. So one of the papers I read, some recent ones about Facebook, those who use Facebook less look down on those who use it more and presume they are all worse off. It also says that when it came to television versus the internet, that people say, well, I've got control over television, I can turn it off. Well, actually, you have a lot less control over television, but you have more of a sense of control over it, which is where you're headed, I think, here. Whereas in Facebook, you don't know what's happening. You actually do have control. You can unfollow somebody. You can do all kinds of things. But you don't feel like you're in control the way you do with Reddit.
Facebook also implements dark patterns and allows you that dopamine hit when you see things. So I think there's an extra layer to what you're talking about, Jeff, which is Facebook also, they drag you in and they keep you there. Whereas television, and I mean, you could argue that a cliffhanger.
Well, television drags you in and try to keep you there.
Right.
Just like Leo was trying to do a minute ago, trying to get us to
difference is
commercial.
Facebook does it with your friends.
Yeah, the difference is television does it en masse, and Facebook's doing it particularly specifically targeted at you. And my whole problem, and I am not unaware of that effect, Jeff, at all. I understand it completely.
Yeah,
it's kind of a version of the Dunning-Kruger effect, and I completely understand that. My entire argument against Facebook is the algorithm, and the algorithm is targeted at you, and you think you're seeing what you want to see. You're seeing what Facebook wants you to see. Period.
But that's also. But I can say the same thing about a network programmer or an editor-in-chief of a newspaper. You're not in control of that at all.
No.
They're telling you.
But
what
they're
you
doing it
wanna
en
see.
masse. They're not targeting you. They're targeting.
And so what's the difference? So it's worse. It's worse.
No, it's not worse.
Part of it is
You have
also
this fantasy
getting people
that
to
somehow
become aware of it.
This targeted thing at you is wonderful. It's exactly not wonderful. It's much better to have a mass medium.
No, you see, you have this view that everybody else is a lemming.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm well aware of
okay.
I'm well aware of that effect. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying Facebook is nefarious. Period.
So this is the Easter egg, Leo. I looked and I tried to find any Facebook stories this week. I didn't find any. So when I went on the TikTok stories, I just put them in the Facebook box. So there's no Facebook in the rundown at all. It's not there.
You're hysterical.
Oh, I was wondering.
You're hysterical.
I was wondering if your Easter egg was this guy who started a Spotify album, since we were talking about Spotify earlier.
Yeah.
Called OK. Well, I can't say it. OKG Play
Say
Music.
it. Go ahead and say it.
And then, okay, y'all. Play Music is
drink.
the name of his album.
Yeah.
And the songs are Hey G, play Christmas music. Hey G, play cooking music, etc.
But wait a minute. Let me play it because does it play music?
It's brilliant.
Oh, because if you say
does.
Hey G, play Christmas music, Drum Coon, who is the guy who did this, is going to get a hit. In fact, this is a long-standing problem on Spotify because anybody could put anything on Spotify, which is stuff designed to get plays by accident, in effect.
Oh, really?
Oh, this has been
I
going
know
on
that.
for years.
I have never encountered that.
This is
didn't know
not
that.
new at all. That's pretty funny. Drum Coon's album cover is him in a car. On the side it says, "Oh, play music." He didn't put a lot of effort into this page, but this is a very common thing on Spotify. In fact, it's one of the reasons I kind of lost interest in Spotify. Pandora too, is because you would get a lot of covers instead of the real thing.
So that was only Google had a real issue with that, and they've gotten better. But like one of the reasons I did not like using the Google Assistant and the Google Smart Speaker was because its API app with Spotify was terrible, and it would always give me like the karaoke version of the song.
Yeah.
And
But there was a lot of gaming
Amazon
going
figured it
on.
out.
That's, by the way, what killed Dig. Gaming will kill a site like this. By the way, if you love Drum Coon's Play Music, you're going to really like Hey, let's gotta play music, his follow-up.
Oh, jeez. So, Leo, were you going to change the subject a while ago?
Yeah, it was. It's
yeah,
okay.
you were.
I
Gonna,
don't care. No, I've been thinking a little bit, and it actually follows along with what we've been thinking about. I thought I'd throw this out to you guys. Let me see if I can get my head working and put this together in some sort of logical way. Clearly there's a problem, and it's not entirely on Facebook, although I think a little bit, Jeff, you conflate Facebook with the internet. Like, oh, if you don't like Facebook, you mustn't like the internet. And I think
No,
really,
if you're going to do something to Facebook, you might have an impact on the internet.
yeah. And look, at Section 230 is heavily under attack right now for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's what scares
So
me to death.
terrifying. But
Yeah.
Right.
right now we're being told not to trust stuff we see on the internet. But there's this other thing that's going on, and it really concerns me even more, because increasingly journalists and even respectable journalistic entities have started to kind of follow the same patterns that, probably for economic reasons, the internet sites follow with link bait, BS stories. This came to me.
Sensationalism.
It's not new, but it came to me when I was listening to Jonathan Alter's excellent biography of Jimmy Carter, his very best. And he's talking about the Burt Lance affair. Remember that, Jeff? You guys are too young, but
we're old enough to remember that.
Burt Lance, who was a Carter, I would say crony, of course, but he wasn't a crony. He was an advisor. He was director of OMB under Jimmy Carter in 1977.
Crony has been redefined. That's
well, but what's interesting is William Safire decided in the New York Times to take him down, to say he's a crony. He was being investigated by the SEC for kind of loosey-goosey banking standards. He had a small town bank in Georgia, and he would lend money to friends and stuff. And in fact, he had to resign at OMB during his first year in office. And Safire, after he resigned, said, yeah, maybe I was a little hard on the guy. Burt Lance was cleared of all charges. There were never any successful criminal charges against him. But he was hounded out of the office by innuendo, essentially from mainstream press, including the New York Times. Now that was a long time ago. That was 50 years ago. But I think it has and it was also unique in that, I think somewhat unique in that time. But I think it's happening all the time now. And there's so much gotcha journalism, and it's gotten so bad. It's almost a war back and forth between the internet, and I can top that, says the New York Times. But here's the reason I bring it up is it really concerns me because I feel like there is no trustworthy source of information anymore. That we are now in a situation where where do you go for answers to anything? Everybody seems to have an axe to grind. Everybody's trying to get more clicks and links. And it seems to be there's so much BS out there that even the stuff that's not BS you can't tell anymore, and that worries me.
So get your cups ready, get your martinis ready, get your scotch ready, get your bourbon ready. Going back to Gutenberg's time, Nobody trusted print for the first 50 years, right? What did we trust? We trusted the people we knew. We trusted the innkeeper who talked to the post delivery guy who came through town and said things. And I think this is in the show, I think last week, rumor was what we trusted. Literally, rumor was better than print. Print was not trusted. It took time to invent the institutions that gave print trust. Right? Print, a lot of print was garbage, fake news, witch trials, junk. A lot of it was just in error. It was worse than the scribes. They'd make mistakes and things would get out. You weren't guaranteed of who really made this. You didn't really know who made it. And if you did know who made it, then it was probably under the thumb of government because they insisted that you put your name on it so they could cut your hands off, literally. So there was no trust in print. But we invented the publishing house. We invented the editor. We invented institutions that brought us some measure of trust in that new structure. It took about 200 years. Literally, 200
dang
years.
it. I was getting ready to ask you that. I was going to say, how long is it going to take? Because I can think back to at least 10 years of seeing listicles and just buzzword-laden headlines on just about everything I read, and I'm still seeing that stuff now. And it's
well, and the problem
so
there is,
annoying.
you're absolutely right, and that's a business model problem. And the business model that we created in media, which is an attention-based business model, either for advertising or for subscription, rules the internet now. And that includes Google, that includes Facebook, it includes everything, programmatic, right? And the next advance has been, did I freeze again? No. And the next advance has been targeting, but that's basically the last death gasp of old advertising in my view. When do we get to a business of some new thing we eventually call media that's based on the value in my life and your life?
But if it took 2 centuries to create that reputation, and we've tossed it away in a decade, how long is it going to take to get it back? Or does it matter?
Well, we got to get through the 30 Years' War first, few Peasants' Wars and Reformation, and then on the other side.
But maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah. That's my real question.
That's the Leo. That's the business opportunity.
Yeah. What's the opportunity? What's the future?
That's the opportunity.
What's the future of? Is there going to be? I remember we were talking 20 years ago maybe about the future, because there's so much information now, it will be in curation, that the curator will be the person we will have a trusted curator. Is that the solution? Yeah. What is the future of information?
The problem with curation is it starts with we're still making media like it was in the old. And so we have to get past this idea that the story overall, that content is everything, that we have more content and more content. There's too much content. There's not too much speech.
Well, in a way, I think what we do here is curation. We choose stories that we think are important. Yep. We analyze them, we break them down, we argue about them, and we try to come to some sense of what is true. That seems like a decent model. No?
I think it is.
That's why I'm doing it.
We get to, or Vox says we're gonna condense things.
So maybe well, here's the thing: this model doesn't always work for mass and mainstream. There's the people who want information, like curated, real information, and then there's people who look at the news to entertain themselves.
It takes too much work
have nothing to do at the moment
to vet content.
Well, 2 things there. One, a little bit of third person in that, right? People in their own lives get what they need to get, I think. And second, I just finished the chapter on this in the book I'm working on. Mass is a myth that was born of the French Revolution and that the internet finally kills. It is fundamentally an insult to the public that people are all the same and the same product can serve them all. I'm not getting into targeting here. No, I'm just getting into relevance.
No, you're absolutely true. That's, if you're going to pick one thread throughout all of this, is the fragmentation of all of these mass markets.
But that
whether it's TV,
the word fragmentation
broadcasting,
presumes that the mass is the norm.
Well, it was the norm until in my youth. But
from the 50s.
Well, okay, so we grew up in mass media.
But the business models are built.
We did.
So the business models, especially for the internet, but even for many publications, not trade publications, actually, in most cases, but many publications is mass because you need to reach a large number of people to make your CDs.
In that old business model, you're right, Stacey.
Right.
Yes.
And that's where, I mean, and we're still, and the other thing is, we're still in this big mindset. Like, I make a decent living I'm never going to be like a millionaire, but I can
It's
clothe
fine.
my children and feed them.
And you provide a
Doing
service,
this.
vetting content in a specific area, and people learn to trust you, right? And so
Yes.
you become that curator
Hopefully.
for them. No, you become that curator.
But that's
an
a
expert.
thing that our business world, like the business world, denigrates.
Oh, yeah.
Or doesn't.
Yes.
They don't denigrate. They just don't see it. It's like, oh, it's a lifestyle business. But I'm like, it's my lifestyle. I like it, and I think my readers, listeners, those people care. But it's
Well, Stacey, we
it's
believe
not
that
what-
you're the future, right? The school.
No
And I
one
know
is.
my
No
colleague
one
talked to
actually
you.
believes that. That's why we see
No, but the
Amazon
people who are
paying
doing
for
it.
Wondery.
But you're doing it, right? Yeah. If your goal is to get bought for $300 million, then you're gonna create a tower of BS, a house that hype built, and
You're
and
gonna
you get
put some
bought and
hats
run
on
away
sticks.
like Mark Cuban and laugh.
I was like, here's my tower of BS.
Just make long you put some hats on sticks on top of that tower of BS, you're gold.
Exactly. Bingo. Whereas if you're actually building value, so what you're both saying is you build value, and
Right.
Mr. Ant builds value when he has his expertise
This is
about photography.
this is why I started
Yeah.
doing what I do. The notion was technology is so complex and difficult, and people are overwhelmed by it. And I have a belief that you need to understand it in order to not be the victim of it. And so what I said is, let's start something where we get intelligent people discussing this in a way that people can understand. It's our mission statement. In order to give you the information you need to understand what role technology is playing in the world and what your role is and how you can use it. And that's all I ever wanted to do. And Stacey, would I like $300 million? Sure. But I knew that this was a lifestyle business the minute I started it. And I was very content
I would not like
with that.
300 million.
Oh, come on, you would.
No, what do you do with that kind of money?
Well, you don't have to ever worry about money
Let me
again.
show you.
You have a very comfortable
mean,
lifestyle
seriously.
business. You don't have to change anything. Actually, that's exactly
Get
the
any
problem
oven
is
you
you
want,
do.
Stacey.
Yeah.
I
No,
can
give
get
me
anything.
300
I
million.
mean,
I'll
not
show
anything,
you.
but
No, I'm with you 100%, Stacey. You and I are doing the same thing exactly.
Yes.
like if someone wanted to hand me 10 million, then I'd probably be like, oh, I'm done. I can just curl
Well,
up.
I presume after a commercial break, we'll come back to talk about Substack, where everybody's dreaming this. So, Stacey, we changed our entrepreneurial program, as you know, and I talked to you about this, and my colleague talked to you about this. We have a community of practice started around the independent, resilient content creator, journalist, call them what you will. Rather than, hey, kids, let's make a company, it's I can serve a community, a market. I can do it with probably 5 different kind of revenue streams as you do. I got subscriptions, I got events, I got sponsors. I do everything I can to make this work and serve that audience really well.
Let me
And
ask
then
you a
you're-
question,
you're-
though.
Yeah.
Are you concerned that without some form of mass media, it'll be difficult to build consensus?
We never had it. That was a myth. Walter Cronkite, that's the way it is, was always a lie. Always.
So
Mass is
how
an ultimate
does
insult.
one how do you build political consensus unless you have communities?
Because here's
in
what we
agreement?
do. The book, as I wrote and researched the book, and by the way, I don't have an editor who's bought it yet, so it's not a book yet. But what I've been working on.
So
for
call
6
your
years,
friends. Wait, no, Jeff, this
well,
is
I've
your
already
chance
sent
to
it
build a lifestyle
my last
book.
editor. Could be. That if the editor doesn't take it, that could be what it is. But what I've realized, Leo, is the essence of the book is this: is that we are right now relearning how to have a conversation with ourselves as a society. If you go to the early days of print, Luther had a conversation with the Pope and Erasmus through print. Erasmus had a conversation with Sir Thomas More through books. Media was conversational. Richardson's first novels were about letters. Media was tremendously conversational. We lost that somewhere along the way. I think we lost it. My theory is we lost that with steam and with mass and the penny press and so on. You could argue that we all lost at other points with radio or TV, but we lost it. We don't know how to have a conversation. And so actually there's an essay I read recently that said that our problem in society is we don't argue enough. You think, well, that's insane. All we do is argue. Listen to this Twig show. They're arguing all the time. What? We don't know how to argue. We don't know how to have a discussion.
Right.
We've lost that ability.
No, I think that
Arguments
we're.
lead to cancellation.
I think here
nowadays.
the discussions we have, which sometimes can get heated, are all about getting to the core truth of it, and that's
And trying to model a behavior.
Within this little group.
Sometimes.
And just as Stacey within her group and with her podcast and with her newsletter we're bringing in people to get this mini consensus. I just worry that a larger political consensus is tough.
Isn't the goal.
Well, it is in politics.
Consensus isn't the goal.
It is in politics. It is in
but
governance.
at some point, even then, it's negotiation. You're never in consensus. Consensus is a false goal.
Okay, so let's not use consensus. But if we all operate from different facts, it becomes difficult to negotiate. Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't matter if we have the same facts.
It's not facts either. It's not facts either, I don't think. And I was going to find another one of these papers I read today, which talked about the myth of objectivity.
Here's my concern. Although I have to say, so for instance, in the tech sphere, which is the only sphere I really know, there are a lot of different groups like this, like Twit, that bring people together. And, there's Marquez Brownlee, and there's magazines and blogs and stuff that bring people together and try to reach a consensus. And then there is a somewhat larger consensus of them all. So, for instance, when a new Android phone comes out, there's different reviews, different thoughts, but it kind of all eventually kind of works its way to a generalized consensus, which then users kind of say, okay, we all kind of agree the Pixel 4a is a great phone. We all kind of agree that the Samsung don't get a fold. There's a certain sense of, I think, there's of course dissent, but we work its way. It works its way to consensus.
You see, this is the problem: is that media gave you that idea that was the goal. So one of the papers I read by
it is the goal, because if you're an end user looking to buy a product, your goal is to get a consensus opinion on whether it's a good product. Period.
Then we'd have two phones. Then we'd be East Berlin.
No, I don't think so.
What is your goal?
You don't think what?
What is your goal?
You get what you want with more.
My goal is to understand if something will work for me. So I know that when we do our reviews, I really focus.
That's fair.
Yes, if a product is a total dog, but
that's fair.
I used to tease Kevin about his equivocal reviews. I was like, Kevin, you're like, if you're a lobster fisherman in northern Canada, this particular device is going to be great.
But you're getting the information you need for you to make that decision. That makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes sense. You're right.
So there's an argument that is called I forget what it's called, but this writer talks about the naive realism and objectivity, and I want to talk about this real quickly. So he says there's 3 points of this notion of objectivity. Number one is my own perceptions are realistic and objective, and therefore reasonable others will share them. Number two, I'll be able to persuade them who disagree with me if we are reasonable and open-minded, and once I explain the real facts. Number three, those who disagree with me, especially those who challenge these important beliefs, are irrational. But if I can't get there. And so we have this myth in journalism of objectivity, and there's a really good piece in the New York Times about 2.5 months ago by Wesley Lowery, former Washington Post reporter and Pulitzer Prize winner, who talked about the structural racism of the notion of objectivity. Because the person who decides in journalism what is objective looks like me, an old white man.
Right.
And the person who decides what's bias and says, no, you, Louis Raven Wallace, who got fired from NPR because you wouldn't get along because you're transgender and you believed you had a lived experience that was valuable, and NPR told you, no, that's a bias.
Right.
Right? So this notion of objectivity becomes a myth that it's the wrong myth. We're striving for the wrong thing. What we need instead is a sense that we are in constant communication, constant disagreement, and we need the skills of understanding how to negotiate with each other. And the end product is not consensus, it's negotiation.
I like it. I think that sounds reasonable. And
Facebook.
We have to get used to the notion that we're going to be in a factually fragmented world.
No, it's good.
It's okay.
This is what we do. We used to have 20 newspapers.
Yeah.
The problem with Facebook, this is why I would criticize Facebook, mark this. Facebook is not built for building communities. It is not built for negotiating ideas. It is not built for those kind of connections. It's built for people you already know to share stuff with you, right?
Share the
and
same
news
stuff
came
you
into it
share.
accidentally, and it's not built for it, right? But the opportunity here is, it's only 1475 in Gutenberg years, The opportunity is to say, can I build something where people can share their lived experiences, where we can do that in a safe space and understand each other a little better, where I can ask them questions and they can answer them. Can we build a place like this where more people can discuss phones and come to conclusions? That's what the internet does and does pretty well. Reddit, right? We're starting to build a new structure for conversation in society. But the 30 Years' War is coming, but that's okay.
So we're almost there, is what you're saying.
What would
No.
30 Years' War.
No, we got about 200
Austria's
years
going to
ahead.
come back.
What would it?
Yeah,
what would
right.
it look like? Is it possible to conceive of what it would look like to build a space where this negotiation was prized and fostered? What would Facebook look
I
like
think
if it were that way?
culturally,
There's a-
even in the
Go, no,
No,
Stacey.
you go ahead.
No,
started.
you go, Stacey,
go
then
ahead.
I'll go. You go first. I just did my
I was going to say,
soliloquy. so you
culturally,
can
I
go.
think in the U.S. we're actually kind of afraid of these conversations. We don't tend to want them, embrace them, or engage in them, especially with people who don't think like we do.
Right.
It's really interesting when I'm with my friends from like Germany.
Right.
Or
It's because
even
disagreements
France.
can't happen anymore. Disagreements now lead to being
They're dangerous.
canceled.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or worse. Yeah.
I'll
so
give you
so
an example that I
was
quite
just going
love.
to yeah. So
Finish your thoughts, Stacey.
No, go, Stacey.
no, I was going to say so now Jeff should tell us what the business model and actually answer your question if there is
So
a.
I'll
Well,
tell
it
you
doesn't have to be a
something
business
that I
model. I'm
mentioned
just
all the time.
wondering what it would look like.
There's a company that's right near you called Spaceship Media, run by a woman named Eve Perlman. It's small, and I think I've said on the show before. I because I have tenure, I can do obnoxious things like redefine journalism. So my definition of journalism is to convene communities into respectful, informed, and productive conversation. Spaceship does that. They bring in communities that are somewhat in conflict. African American teens in high school and their teachers, people around guns. Their first project was Clinton voters versus Trump voters. And what they do is the journalist gets to know them. They put them in a Facebook group, doesn't have to be Facebook. And the goal is just to understand each other a little better. Now, what happens then is people say, we're getting in trouble over here. We're starting to fight. Can you help us out? Can you look up some stuff for us? Well, the angels sang and the heavens opened because they said, we want an informed conversation. We want facts. And we want you to go get them for us, journalists.
But what do the
because
outcomes
journalists had a
look like?
relationship.
Don't they just all end up being, well, let's just agree to disagree? or they're
No, they understand. They come out saying, okay, I still disagree, but I understand you better. I understand your perspective better, or I didn't get that piece of it, or now I get it better. When Spaceship sees this, when they come to Spaceship, they don't do a narrative about it. They deliver what they call fact stacks. They say, here are the things that you asked for, that you're wrong about, that you're confused about, that you should know. And you come to a better understanding so that you can at least have that negotiation not based on emotion and hate. My view is that people don't really believe in Q except for some really nut jobs. But they want us to believe that they believe it. There's a performative emotion involved. Mm-hmm. You don't understand my circumstances. Mm-hmm. You don't understand my life. And I don't want to understand yours either. And it is, as Dana Boyd says, an epistemological war. I don't trust you. I don't trust your experts. You're all elites. I don't like your facts. F you. This is what I'm going to do. And if it irritates you, good. And that's where we are, as Ant was just saying a minute ago. That's if you disagree, that's what it rises to.
Yeah.
And Spaceship has a methodology. My graduates have worked for the company where they understand how to get people together. And
This is a really interesting
and look at
business.
Us. You and I yell at each other, and we love each other.
Well, yeah, but
figure it
we're a
out.
lot closer than we are apart. I mean,
We're never
Yeah,
we're
it was
never going to
theatrical.
agree with everyone on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, there are core moral and cultural differences between people where biggest thing you can think of, just broadest brush, America, individualism, yay. China, the collective good, yay. I mean,
Right.
those are
Right.
contrasting. They're not. We put it. We each have moral thoughts about it, but at the same time, we each are going to come down on different sides, and that's okay. And I do agree, Jeff. I like how you call it a negotiation when you're trying to build laws. And if we, as journalists, one of the hardest things I think to write about and to talk to our audience, for politicians to talk to their constituents about, is this idea that every law comes with trade-offs, and we're making them.
Yeah.
We can fund children going to preschool, or we can fund programs that, help people when they get out of jail. And maybe we don't have enough money to do all of those. And we don't talk
Or
like
it's
that.
defund the
and that's a
police
problem.
becomes fund community help, right? Fund mental health. But it gets turned into rhetoric. And who's the fault for that? Oftentimes, my business, media, journalism. Right? It's our business. And we screw that up. We don't try to find. I wrote a post some weeks ago about Hannah Arendt and totalitarianism. I reread major portions of The Roots of Totalitarianism, and she expressed it brilliantly in there, where she said people give up their day-to-day concerns and then they grab onto these abstract notions. I don't believe that for 30% of America, the single most important thing every single day of their lives is guns and abortion. I believe the most important thing in their lives is the health and well-being of their families and their children. And that's the same for me, and it's the same for all of us. There's a commonality there which media never deals with at that level because it's boring and it's not conflict and it's not new. It's life.
What were the outcomes with Spaceship Media? We'll take the example that one of the examples was the Alabama-California conversation between Clinton and Trump's supporters. Was there an outcome?
There were a couple outcomes. And by the way, they have a brand new book out, so we should plug that.
Good.
So Spaceship Media on guns. They did a nationwide project on guns.
Boy, they're courageous. They don't mind taking on the big topics.
Exactly. Guns and American Conversation, Simon & Schuster, my former publisher, my old publisher. I hope my current publisher. So on the Clinton versus Trump, there was a
By the way, they did
time thing.
They did it in a moderated Facebook group. I have to.
Yes,
I have to
but it was
acknowledge.
moderated. It was very moderated.
Yeah.
They would open it up occasionally, and so they would do stories for the paper and say, this is what's going on here. And so that you could model a behavior. What this is about is modeling a behavior, about how people can discuss. And so my students who worked with this, when they saw somebody was going to say something hostile, they'd say, maybe you want to think about saying that in a different way. Why don't you ask that as a question and see what happens if you do that? And they'd do that, and they'd say, oh, well, I got farther. This is interesting, right? And so at the end of the period, most of the people said, we're going to stick around, and we're going to keep going. Because we're interested in each other.
They actually enjoyed it.
Well, joy might even be strong, but they recognize the value in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like eating broccoli.
You may not enjoy it, but you know it's good for you.
You got to burn it. Stacey, if you burn the broccoli, I can bear it, but that's it. Throw some cheese sauce on it.
You roast that broccoli, it's
like
amazing.
Roasted is a lot better.
No hollandaise, come on.
I'm joking. I don't know. Hollandaise on my asparagus, yeah.
Well, you answered my question actually, because I was a little concerned about the profit motive in journalism and what it's brought us to, and I don't have a problem with mass media collapsing at all. But I just
had a conversation yesterday with a 2-hour conversation with a brilliant anthropologist at Northwestern. I'm trying to do a new project here, and I said at some point, imagine the journalism's died, it's collapsed.
Yeah.
And as anthropologists, how would you approach the problems in society? What would you do? And then anthropologists start by listening, by understanding communities, by understanding what their connections are, by speaking their language back, by giving them the respect of listening, making them feel heard, and learning about them on their terms. What if journalism started from that base?
Mm-hmm. Everybody go watch TMZ.
See,
we solved the problem of journalism and bifurcation.
All right,
let's go.
New subject. I want to do the changelog. How about that? How about them apples?
Yeah.
It's time for Play the Drums. Or the trumpets, or whatever the hell they are. The Google changelog. Trumpets and drums. Goodbye Cloudprint. Well, we knew that was going away. Here's its replacement. On January 1st, Cloudprint turns into a pumpkin. This was I thought, a really cool feature that allowed you to print initially from a Chromebook, but eventually from almost anything to almost any printer over the internet without a wired connection. Google sat in between as a kind of host. They say, now you got to do native printing. I thought there was a replacement, but I guess there.
No, there's 3 or 4 private things, Mobia and things like that.
Yeah.
The beauty of Cloudprint was I could be in Germany and print something out on my home printer.
Yeah.
It was great, and I don't know why. What was the cost to them?
It solved a lot of problems. People had huge problems. Printing is one of the biggest, thorniest problems in personal computing, and it just solved it. But I guess
you and I were old enough to remember having to get the CD
but how
out
many people
and
are printing
install the
now?
drivers.
People still print, don't they? I think they still print.
Really?
Yeah. I don't. You and I don't, Ann.
Really?
Well, this is for one chapter. See that?
You know who prints? Writers print.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm printing out paper so I can mark them up. But, Ann, I was just thinking today, we talked for years about the paperless office, and we never got there. I think COVID just got us there.
Maybe. Yeah, because
You're not passing around memos and things.
Yeah.
That's right.
You don't want to touch anything. Google
Having
Store.
been remote forever,
Yeah, you did.
I've been in a paperless office.
You don't?
forever.
Do you have a printer? You have a printer there,
Because
though.
you're so organized.
I have a
a
printer.
printer.
I print probably once a week, and it's usually return labels.
All right.
Yeah. I print sparingly. Most of the time, it's more so for scanning. That's what that thing is
Oh,
for.
I know. I use my scanner a
Oh,
lot.
scanning is scanning.
Getting stuff into digital instead of out.
Right.
Google Store has added a nav bar, their online store that features a subscriptions landing page, which includes information about your subscriptions. Who'd have thunk it? What a clever idea. Do you remember that you subscribe to YouTube TV, YouTube Premium, YouTube Music Premium, all at the same time, all completely unnecessarily? Well, store.google.com/subscriptions. Get to know Google subscriptions and services and find out where you're wasting your money. Or maybe find out new ways to waste money. How about that? They also are offering a la Apple packages, video entertainment, audio entertainment, and home security packages. So a new
A
tab.
lot of the ISPs.
Yeah.
Apple did not come
Bundling.
With that model.
Substack when they buy them.
Bundling, baby. Android's smart selection feature now lets you convert to other units. So you can select something like 60 miles an hour on your phone, and if you wish, you can convert it to kilometers.
Oh, that's actually kind of. Wait, is it?
That's
Oh,
kinda
convert.
convenient.
Oh, does it do it for currency?
I bet it does. Why wouldn't
So
it?
exciting.
But don't enjoy it too much because it's already been deprecated. No, I'm just kidding.
It's going away, right? It's going away.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You need an Android device with smart selection enabled. Google Camera 8.1, for reasons no one understands, has disabled the ultra-wide lens for astrophotography on the Pixel 5 and 4a. Have you heard from your photography buff fans, Ann, about this one?
Most people that was using that didn't particularly care for it.
They weren't using
Because-
wide.
Right. The ultra wide is good for the field of view, but it's pretty soft as far as clarity goes. So
wouldn't be a
No
good
biggie.
choice. Okay. Yeah.
Is soft code for blurry?
Yes.
Okay, no, I genuinely, I was like, it's soft. What does that mean?
it's not as crisp.
Sorry. Got it. Okay.
Google Photos.
I wish they, but having an ultra wide for Astro makes sense because you want to see all of the
Right.
heavens. if
The
you
sky
will.
is very
you
big.
want wide though, not ultra wide, because the ultra wide was like 16 millimeters. It was super wide, right? It was also distorted a little bit. You'd get curvature in there and things like
Then
that.
then it bows a little bit.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. No, I think Google's just trying to point you in the right direction. I haven't looked yet, but you might want to check your Google Photos because they are starting to generate year in review stories. Let me just look at my stories here. And a 2020 photo book. Aww. So I always enjoy that carousel. At the
Oh, you
top.
mean the
think
thing
I
that I
want a
didn't buy
2020
last year
photo
or the
Yeah,
year before?
yeah, right. That one.
one.
You can buy that one, not buy that one again this year. Yeah. Well done. Photo books, photo prints, print series. Yep, it's all in there.
Oh, you have it?
No, I don't have it yet. But I'm actually not looking at my Android. I should look at my Android, huh? Not my iPhone.
Yeah.
What am I using an iPhone for? Just checking real quickly.
Yeah, I don't have it. I have recent highlights, but not
I
the
do.
year
Yeah, recent
highlights.
highlights a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I like that. Apple actually is starting to do a better job of that with their photos than Google, despite all of the. What?
Well, I was just like, Apple doing better than
Apple
Google
doing
at
better?
photos?
Oh no!
What will Google have left?
It's not available, I guess, yet. Once it's available, maybe it'll be after the year's over, because something important could happen in the next 2 days. It'll appear first in the Memories carousel on iOS. Oh, it'll appear on iOS and Android with the web excluded. Instead of the usual, what you're getting right now, look back at this day, week, or year. It's a recap from the past 12 months. As before, you tap the edges to navigate backward and forward, press and hold pauses, the date and locations at the top. There's a preview book that lets you create an annual book. I would like to do that, actually.
Has anyone ever...
Go ahead.
I was going to ask if anyone's ever bought a canvas from Google, like a photo
I was
canvas,
just
and
going to
how
ask
it
the
turned
same,
out.
if Ann had done that. Yeah.
I know someone that has, and they did look quite nice.
Yeah, okay. Apple used to
did
do
look
really
quite
nice
nice.
prints. And I've printed from a number of people. We do Shutterstock now. In fact, our
Shutterstock's good.
Our Christmas cards are
Shutterstock
pretty
is
good.
In my old backyard.
Oh, in northern
I just
Kakalaki?
printed...
They were just across the border from Charlotte in Fort Mill, South Carolina.
I just printed from a site called Artifact Uprising for... I had taken one of Ohm's prints and had
nice.
it printed on metal.
Ooh, because he does black
yeah,
and
and they
white.
did a
He does
really good
beautiful
job.
monochromes. Yeah. Oh, that would
They
look
were-
nice.
it was
Metal prints
really
are
stunning.
awesome.
I love metal prints, especially for monochrome. Yeah.
So
And now I'm going to have Jeff Jarvis, because he's always good at this, get his Google Assistant to sing the New Year song, if you would, Jeff.
Sing the New Year's song.
Sing a song for the new year. I hope that we all thrive. Kindness, love,
Oh,
and
my
laughter.
goodness.
May that be our guide. I'm here to look after
This needs
all
to be
your
a
such
GIF.
needs. Just say
There
them
actually
as it
is animation
and
on
I
his
am here to
screen
please.
right now. We just don't get to see it.
If you want to hear that song,
Okay, stop and never do that again.
If you want to hear that song again, just
Tell it,
ask me.
please stop.
Please ask me. I think it sounds like GLaDOS from the Portal games.
Ay, ay,
Still
ay.
alive, right? Interestingly, if you ask for it in England, it'll have an English accent. One
AI
Twitter
at its best.
wow.
user also mentioned in Spanish, and the same thing happens in French. A good sing a song.
Wait, what
if
if
you
I
ask the
said what if I
question
said
in
it in
French?
Spanish? Juego. Let's see. Juego. No. I can't. I don't know
We'll
Spanish.
be back with more as we call her
As Stacey
Hilaria
ponders.
Higginbotham attempts to speak Spanish next. And that's the Google changelog.
I don't speak Spanish, y'all.
To be fair, my language is French. It's my daughter who speaks Spanish.
Oh, I really think I'm
Okay,
calling you
Google.
Hilaria
Sing a
Higginbotham
story,
from now on.
Yazi.
sorry.
I just couldn't remember
Yeah, I don't think it speaks
Okay, Google,
German.
stop.
Yeah.
New Year's in French. So I,
I said
couldn't say
sing
Juego.
a Neujahrslied and said I heard sing a Does Noise Yaz lead.
Okay,
Those
Google.
noise,
It's
yeah.
always fun to confound the Google Assistant. Jeff, are you excited about the new Chromebook 2 from Galaxy Samsung?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
This is from Kevin Toffel and about
Been
Chromebooks.com.
leaking.
QLED
It's
display,
down from
Core
$9.99 to
i3.
$6.99.
Good price.
You go ahead. You do the
Still got
specs.
that
You-
beautiful
you know.
red body we saw at CES last January.
Little more squared edges, but
Yeah,
yeah.
not the wedge shape anymore. Walking Cat had the rumor. Kevin says he says I haven't been able to validate the latest leaks, but he says it all kind of makes sense. And a QLED display is nice. A little bit.
So but it's a step down from what they have now, right?
Well, it's not
everybody's
OLED.
saying.
No.
not
QLED is better than probably. Well, I don't know what they have now. Do they have OLED now?
Well, their
They
screen
do.
Is the most
It is a
gorgeous one
step
everybody
down.
loves.
Yeah, it is a step down. They went to an
That's how
LCD
the price
panel.
comes down.
That's how they saved it.
But I also wonder, Leo, does it suck less power? 'Cause
It
that's
does.
the problem with this machine.
OLED is notorious for bad sucking.
I think that's the reason here. I think they're trying to come up with a new model
Yeah.
that doesn't lose its battery in 3 hours.
Is that what you're using? Is the Samsung?
No, I was going to get it.
No. He still has the old Pixel book.
You're
I
waiting.
still have that, and I'm dying. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to buy it, and then Google's going to announce something new.
You really
But
think
the
that's-
battery power turned me off on that one.
You really think that's going to happen? You
A
still
guy
haven't-
can hope, can't
Still
he?
haven't given that up. From Yahoo, I don't understand this story at all. From Yahoo Finance, the year in review of Google. For Google. From Yahoo.
This is the bad business model. We got to fill space online. Online is never full of content.
I normally do not do a show this close to the end of the year because there's no news, which means anything in the news is by definition bogus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I hate lists. I despise lists.
There's a ton of this stuff.
We
How?
can talk about Substack.
Oh, yeah. You wanted to talk about Substack. So Substack is the hot thing right now. It is a newsletter platform, I guess. Yes?
Yep.
Do you have a Substack?
No, I don't.
I have a Substack, but I only made one just because I thought I should know about it. Yeah. I was just looking at it. But some people subscribe to it, which makes me laugh because there's no content on it. But it's interesting.
No, people subscribe to individual things. So Ben Smith in the New York Times did a puff piece on, I'm forgetting her name suddenly, Heather Robinson.
Oh,
Richardson.
she's the hottest. Yeah, I saw that puff piece. Yeah.
And so she is pulling in, Ben said, $1 million a year.
No.
Yeah.
And he says the secret to her success is what? People just want facts.
Well, she does it. I read it. It's fine. It's good. It's a summary of the
she's a
news, but it has
curator.
a slightly historical view. It's fine, but it's $5, and she gets enough people.
$5 a month.
And
how much does Substack take of that $5?
10%. Now, in some cases, Matt Iglesias left Fox to go to Substack, and they gave him an advance of a reported $250,000. So he has to earn back that advance before he starts making money. She chose not to take an advance. Others did not. But it's where the people are going. So I was just talking today with some of my colleagues at the school and saying, I wonder if you're a publisher of a major publication and you have star names on the Washington Post, New York Times, Time Magazine, wherever, and they see this $1 million, what do? Are they all going to leave you and try to do this? Of course, what's going to happen is there's going to be too many newsletters on
And then
Earth,
it'll be the
and
same. Yeah. So she's a professor of history, right, at Boston University? Or
Boston College.
Boston College. Heather, Heather. I mean, I'm sorry, Hilaria. You publish a newsletter, but do you use a platform for that or? Oh, she's muted. Is that us?
Nope, it's me. Sorry.
Okay. Yep.
I'm in the midst of switching platforms, but
would you consider?
I use MailChimp.
MailChimp.
I've
which is-
considered Substack. I actually met with Hamish. Yeah.
Hamish McKenzie.
Yeah, and he made the case that I probably could make as much as I do now without doing quite as much work, which just kind of was like, of course, that's what I want to hear. But I have a hard time. I still toy with the idea, but I just I don't believe anyone would pay for my stuff.
Because your
even
newsletter
only
is
$5
free
a month.
right now. Yeah.
Well, it's free, but it's also the other thing that is different about my model is my people are more, they're an audience that you want to reach that cannot be reached easily. They're a niche audience. And so people will pay a lot more to reach them. So I can
Ben
make
Evans'
a decent,
model,
like I said. Yeah.
I
makes
love Ben
sense.
Evans. He sends out the paid one on Sunday night with an extra piece that he writes just for subscribers, and then he sends out a free version without those bonuses on Tuesday.
Tell you, it beats
And he
writing a
charges-
book. You make more money than writing a book. If you're going to write, figure out a way to make money at it, right?
I could do Gutenberg every single
And
week.
I will
yeah.
say,
Yeah.
when I was at Fortune, they paid me very well. Like I was well remunerated. Probably not like fancy person well remunerated, but it was fine for me.
You could afford fingers on your gloves when you worked there, but now you can't.
Yeah, when I worked there.
The video doesn't see that.
But I had turned off the heat, so now I need my like little warming things. What was I going to say? Oh, but when I left, I actually made more. And this was something I argued with Fortune when I was trying to get them to do the podcast, and they wouldn't. I was like, I made more on the podcast than I made from them. So, like, I was like, dude, all of that could have been gravy, and you could have charged even more because you're Fortune. Anyway,
Yep.
So I would be terrified if I were a publisher that has a name, because your stars are going to go there, find their audience, do well, and then wander off to a Substack.
I
That would be
often
my
And
journalism
Helen
strategy.
Peterson,
I often-
Iglesias, Andrew Sullivan, they've all gone there.
I often wonder why our hosts don't use this platform as a launching point for a newsletter, because
Because we love you.
no, but I wouldn't stop you. You
Because
could
we're
do
lazy
that. Yes,
SOBs.
that's why I don't do it. But because you'd have this opportunity every week to promote your newsletter, and the whole trick is generating. She must have 20,000 subscribers, paying $5 a month, $100,000 a month, in order to make that $1 million a year.
Which isn't a lot of people.
That's actually not a lot of people.
no.
You'd certainly, it's probably a tenth of the number of people you'd reach every month on the podcast. So if you could get 1 in 10 to subscribe, you could make $1 million additional a
And
month.
actually, I think all she charges for is access to her comments. I think the newsletter is free.
Oh, interesting.
And that.
It is a lot
Meanwhile,
of
you
work.
have.
And I also
It
still,
is.
I often wonder, do really people want more email? Because I know I don't.
You'd be surprised.
Everybody always says
couple-
newsletters are so good, so powerful.
I
so-
don't.
I think maybe people subscribe and then they end up in the bin and they don't read them.
I think they.
There's some
so-
newsletters that I subscribe to and I open
You read them every
single time.
High open rate. Okay.
Yeah.
Even the
So
Twitter
how many- how many-
newsletter,
You don't have to
and I
send
work
it every
here.
day.
Right. No, weekly would be enough, right?
Yep.
How many do you say you do that with, Ant? How many are you loyal to?
I'm thinking at least 6 or 7 that I go through each week.
Yeah, I'm maybe 2 or 3.
I have about
Stacey,
four.
Leo.
0.
And it's funny because I know that it's the auto-generated MailChimp, yada, 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 but it still usually has interesting information or something useful for me in there, and it warrants me clicking and actually opening that email.
Wait,
up.
those aren't people? Those aren't like newsletters like people give you? These are like random like company newsletters?
No, it's people, but I know they're using MailChimp, and even though you open it up and it says, "Hi, Aunt," blah, 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 blah,
Oh,
blah,
I
blah.
see. You don't take it as personal.
MailChimp,
Yeah.
right. MailChimp tries to personalize it and
Yeah.
says, "Hey."
Oh, I don't expect it to be
So-
personal.
You
I
actually
read the New
choose those-
Yorker. I don't expect them to say, "Hey, Leo, here's your new article."
You can choose not to personalize it. I mean, like that is a choice. Like
Oh,
I always
interesting.
forget to personalize it, but like my husband
Yeah.
goes in behind me and is like, first name, click.
Yeah. I feel like
So
there's
one of my
way too
graduates-
much content. So much content.
Yes,
And I would
yes.
love to consume more content. There's a full issue of the New Yorker that's just about COVID-19 that I'm trying to read. But that gets placed on the back burner with the
It's a pile of guilt.
It's a pile of guilt. There's so much content, and then there's the podcasts, and I worry that we're making so much content that you can make money if you hit the right new thing, Substack now. Next year, I don't know what the next big thing will be, but it's got to be a moving target. And I don't. Is there's such a? It feel like there's a glut, which
But
is
this goes
going to
back to
reduce the
lifestyle
value.
business. Can you get enough people to let you do what you love doing, and you do that by serving somebody well and bringing them value?
God, I hope so. That's
One
what
of
we
my
try to
students-
do.
Yeah.
It's what you do. You did that. One of my students, Matt Keyser, started something called What the F Spelled Out Just Happened Today. That's the full URL. And he does a newsletter, and he went on to Patreon, and he got enough money, and he makes it. Pete Dominic was he's a comic, and he was on Sirius, and then he left Sirius, and now he has a podcast, and he goes on Patreon, and enough people give him.
We hear all
money.
these
Not as good as it
stories,
was.
but then I want
But he doesn't.
follow-ups because a year from now and 2 years from now, are they still
Don't
making
know.
it?
Don't know.
And
well, Matt, because this was a Trump thing, right? He started kind of by accident. He was
Yeah.
tweeting, and it came out.
well, a lot of
He's making
people
over
made
six
money on
figures.
Trump for sure.
But I thought he was going to have to give it up. He said, no, people, his readers tell him, no, keep going.
Well, they tell them now.
It's the adjustment.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think it hurts us. I mean, when we started 15 years ago, there weren't a lot of podcasts, and we were very successful for a long time because there wasn't any competition. But there is now so much competition. There's more than 100,000 new podcasts every week that
Everybody can do
and then
one.
it's not just competition, by the way, for listenership, because I feel like our listenership is pretty solid. It doesn't go down much, doesn't
God
go up
bless you
much.
all, everyone.
Thank you, all of you. People, and they're in the habit of it. But you're also competing for ad dollars, and that's gotten much more brutal over the years. And I just feel like it's going to be harder and harder. Because pretty soon everybody's going to have a podcast or a newsletter.
This is the too much content problem.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where we are. Is we had a scarcity based model where you had a publication and it had a beginning and an end, and you filled it. Right. This is the Gutenberg parenthesis. Right. And that's what you did. Well, now we're still trying to fill the internet. I can't go to bed, dear. There's still an empty spot on the internet. Right. And so I think that we haven't figured out how to get down to value.
Wasn't Medium the
Guardian, the
Substack
Telegraph.
of 3 years ago? And I go to Medium now. It's link bait city. It's terrible. I'm sorry, Jeff.
And they don't even have advertising.
Yeah. They make money from harassing you till you sign up.
Right.
$5 a month.
Clickbait. I mean, sign up, read this particular article.
In a sense, so does the New York
I'm
Times
looking.
now.
Here's the stories that I'm looking at right now on my front page. I'm going to tell you the biggest secret about competing on ... You probably suspected it all along. There are two types of genius, and one doesn't reveal itself till middle age. The red slime lawsuit that
Inc. magazine.
Yeah, this
New
is
York Times.
Yeah. We hired a guy off Craigslist. I stopped reading it because the value went way down.
So this is interesting. Substack does not promote things. Now, so when you go to Medium, part of the argument is, and I post on Medium and my blog both, I get some social bump from it. People might discover it. Substack doesn't do that, which is interesting. I'm not sure.
No, they
that's
leave
right
it to
or
you.
wrong. That's
That's your job.
Yeah, they do. But should they add value in that way?
No.
I don't know. They have a leaderboard, but that's kind of mass thinking.
I never thought nudity was a big deal. Then my hotel room door opened.
Oh, Jesus.
How I burn fat and build muscle without going to the gym. 6 habits of profoundly lonely people. I mean, I'm just.
this is
is this just me? Maybe it's because of what I've read in the past. I've ruined my Medium.
In a world run by
I think
algorithms,
that's just what
weirdness
people
is our best weapon.
respond to. I think that's just
Why
what
am I
people
getting the
respond to.
article, the first signs of alcoholic liver damage are not in the liver? Why am I getting that?
Leo,
I do
let
want
me
to
give
know
you
where
mine. Mine's
the
much better.
first signs of alcoholic liver damage are. I'm not going to lie. I'm intrigued.
All right, let me click on that. What do you? Tell me what you're getting, Jeff. So maybe
my
is it
number one
watching
is-
what I read and then giving me more?
Yeah, and I also follow some. So it gives
I
me
don't
some-
like
So
algorithms.
Doug Rushkoff, who we love, who I disagree with, but we love. In a world run by algorithms, weirdness is our best weapon. Then we have John Maeda, formerly head of the Rochester School of Design.
So
learned-
these are people you
Rhode
follow.
Island. Rhode Island.
That's the
Peter,
difference.
No, not all of them.
Okay.
Peter Diamandis, AI and Shopping, the New Retail Era. I don't follow him. There's Spanish there. They don't know me that well. 10, which is one of their publications, ex-Googler Meredith Whittaker on political power in tech and the flaws of something that goes off.
Meanwhile,
No,
the first signs of alcoholic
just
liver
like my
damage.
Facebook is good because I care and I give it a little bit of attention and good things happen if you just give it a chance, Leo.
Stacey, the subtitle on this subhead: not enough alcoholics are educated about this.
I'm certainly not.
Okay, so
and they don't want to be either. That's the point.
Digestive, cognitive, neuromuscular, and vascular. I'll just leave the rest.
That's a lot of other things. Good Lord.
I open Medium probably once or twice a quarter, if that.
Well, I'm always looking
just
for
looking
news.
at this.
I'm always looking for news sources. So last year, Medium turned out to be a useful source of news for us. So I added it to my beat check. And the reason this comes up is about 2 months ago, I took it off my beat check because it was such a wasteland. So I
mainly go there and through links.
Oh well,
I'm in here now, and I see people that I adore. You know, I see Vera Tunde, I see Roberta Blake, Erica Baker Joy.
That's because Medium thinks you're black.
I wonder why. But then I scroll through, and all of the different
Medium
articles
thinks
here on
I'm
this
some
front page are
cheeseball.
just a bunch of listicles. You know?
Yeah, it's too many listicles. I don't like it.
And I'm like, I don't read any
Honestly,
of this
it looks
stuff.
like-
What would make it suggested to me?
Yeah, well,
Oh.
I have an idea.
I was going to say, Leo, I think Medium thinks you're a, I don't know,
64-year-old
50-year-old woman.
Yep. Nailed it.
But you know what? Substack's
I
doing.
can't-
It's gonna
I can't
endear
tell you.
them.
What's Substack doing?
Oh.
Substack's doing is going to endear them to a lot of people.
They have an RSS reader.
They're building an RSS reader.
Yay!
Okay, hey,
Let me ask you this.
Let's wind this show down.
Hilaria.
When we get to the RSS reader.
Did Hamish Mackenzie have a great Scot accent?
He did not, no.
Oh man,
He was not that kind of Hamish.
With a name like Hamish, you should sound like this.
He does have red hair, doesn't he?
He said, "Lassie, you need to come over here and join us over here in Substack." All right, let's take a break. And no, there's nowhere to go. We're stuck here
We'll
together.
Play along with you.
You and me together. Sorry. Let us get the picks of the week. We'll start with.
Should we first have just a moment of silence?
No, you blew it. You blew it. I did it.
Oh, you did it. Oh.
There doesn't have to be an actual pause. The editors, they're razor blades. They're this thin.
No, I didn't mean that. No, I was going to a story. I was going
Go to a
topic
story. Oh,
for
you
which
want
there's
to
moment
have a moment of
silence.
silence for Flash.
Yes.
Dum
That was enough.
dum 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 bum 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 bum.
So 1995 was when Flash began.
God,
Took a long time
it
to
was
kill that sucker.
little did we know what we were getting into.
Ay, ay, ay.
Same thing can be said about the internet.
Yeah, I guess you're
That's
right.
right.
Come to
Too
think
much
of
with
it.
Leo, man.
Yeah. The Flash from Adobe is gone as of the end of this month, in 2 days. However, there are emulators. There are other ways to do it. And as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Internet Archive has a Flash archive where they're using a Rust-based emulator to give people a chance to experience peanut butter jelly time one more time.
Bless their heart.
Bless their hearts. But you know what? I thought actually, at first I was starting to get calls on the radio show from people saying, "Oh, what am I going to do?" You know? And I thought this is going to be a problem, and then it just stopped. People go, "Oh, I actually don't need Flash."
What's not going to work?
Nothing.
What sites are still dependent upon it?
If a site's still using Flash, they deserve to die at this point.
Yeah.
Google
Well,
actually still requires Flash for taking a picture and sending it inside
No.
chat, but they're killing chat, so it's done.
Oh, that's
Never mind.
They thought it'd be
Well,
easier to
Hangouts.
kill
Or
chat
use it
than to
Hangouts.
replace Flash.
Skype that needed it? No, what was it? No, I know what it was. Watching MSNBC,
Yeah, there
on the web
used to be some
required it.
content sites, but I think that's long gone.
they've gotten rid of it, I think, yeah.
I hope so.
They've seen this coming for years. And the biggest problem was starting in 2010, if you had an iOS device, you couldn't use Flash. And I would assume any site on the web that cared anything about what it's doing was hoping that people with iPhones might be able to visit it, right? So, there is a site, is Flash dead yet? Let's just see real quickly. Is Flash dead yet? A funeral has been scheduled. That plug-in really tied the room together. It was the plug-in for its place and time. Flash is being retired. Well, there you go. There's really no debate. This is a good... If you want to read about it, you can read about it here at Is Flash Dead Yet? Which apparently was created in 2010.
Jeez.
Wow.
Good grief.
Now, let's get the picks of the week, starting with Stacey's thing.
Today's thing is Hoobs.
Hoobs.
Hoobs. Y'all may have heard of this already because Micah probably told you about it because I know he's a Homebridge fan. I think he's a Homebridge fan. Okay, so there's this open source home automation software called Homebridge that lets you tie other devices into the Apple HomeKit ecosystem. So if you are all in on Apple's HomeKit and you have a couple devices and you want to use Siri to control it and you want to use the Home app, Hoobs is the way to do that. And it has existed for a long time. But
it's hardware.
It existed it existed initially as software that you would have to buy a Pi, flash an SD card, and run it.
But they now sell it as a kit.
And then they launched Hoobs, which was Homebridge out of the box. And it's basically an enclosure for a Pi, and they've installed Homebridge on it. So it's kind of expensive for what it is, but I had Kevin try it out because he's been playing with HomeKit for a while. And his verdict was that if you're all in on HomeKit, this is an option, and you don't want to flash your own card and download it, which most people watching this show are probably okay doing. But it's a neat alternative that's out there, especially if you want to bring your Ring doorbell into your HomeKit setup.
That makes sense.
This all may be obsolete in a few months after Project Chip comes to fruition, but we're gonna.
So it's $170.
Are you holding your breath on Project Chip?
Oh, I have a story coming out this week in the newsletter. Y'all should sign up. I've got news for you.
All right.
Look at me not breaking my own scoop.
Stay tuned.
I'm
Talk
not.
about it on the show too.
Go to StaceyOnIoT.com and sign up for that
we
newsletter.
To go for another hour on the show unless she tells us what it
She's
is.
freezing. I feel
Y'all
like her
could,
fingertips
but-
might fall off if we do that. So you have
no,
a choice.
I'm
You can get Hoobs if it's for easy for you, $170 and it's got it all. Or if you have a Raspberry Pi or willing to buy one, the Homebridge software is free. So you could download the image, put that on your Raspberry Pi, and do exactly the same thing, I presume. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is literally nothing. Yeah, there is nothing that would make. But there are a lot of people who, when I tell someone, okay, you're going to go to this site and you're going to flash an SD card with this software. They're like,
I understand.
Stop
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. I try to tell those people, do it. Do it. Do it. But they still go out and spend $170.
Oh, there's Micah telling he ended up leaving Hoobs for Homebridge UI. Oh.
He prefers the Homebridge,
Oh,
UI,
he's
but
in
he
the
is
chat
happy
room.
to hear us talk about Hoobs.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, there you go, Micah.
Hoobs in a box. It's at Hoobs, HOOBS.org. Thank you, Hilaria. And now, I don't know why I'm calling you Hilaria.
Why?
Actually, I do
Why?
know why. I know exactly why.
Because
she attempted Spanish.
Spanish.
She attempted Spanish.
Hilaria
was the
or
word.
Hillary
Okay, all
Baldwin actually speaks Spanish. So
Yes.
it,
There's the difference.
it's a little different, but
Yeah.
yes.
But she's not actually from Spain, which kind of confused everybody.
You know what? I'm not going to dog on people.
No, I'm not either. That's a perfect example of a story that wouldn't exist, except this is the last week of the year and there's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jeff Jarvis, number of the week.
So everybody thought that Silicon Valley was moving to Austin Not so, says the big technology.
Just Elon
newsletter.
Yeah. Where are they moving?
Right. So the places that have Madison, Wisconsin, Richmond, Virginia, Sacramento, California.
They'll be
now,
back.
Austin, in the numbers, they did analysis of LinkedIn, and they said that Madison, for example, was gaining 1.2 tech workers for each one it left last year. Now it's up to 1.77, a 74% jump. Now, meanwhile, Austin's still net ahead. They were gaining 2.6 tech workers for everyone who
People
left.
from San Francisco.
Oh, this is just
That was the
broad.
idea.
Okay.
So people are leaving San Francisco and New York. So, biggest gains in inflow-outflow ratio, Madison, 74%, Cleveland, Sacramento, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Hartford.
It sounds like they're
declines.
But that's a ratio, Jeff. That's not like a total numbers.
No.
That's a
No, it's
little,
not total
that's
number.
Like
It's just
percentages versus.
where's the trending?
So.
Where's the growth?
It's trending.
But it has to do with home pricings, obviously, right?
I was going to say it's a lot
Well, it's also
cheaper
freedom.
than
Austin is
Madison,
nice.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. Madison's nice. It's cold. They're
Steepest
sorry they went now.
declines, San Francisco Bay Area, New York City, I'm sorry to say, Boston, Chicago, and Cincinnati.
It's so sad because the people who ruined San Francisco are precisely the people who are now leaving because San Francisco has
Yes.
been ruined.
Yes.
It drives me nuts because I loved living in San Francisco. We moved here in the early 90s, but it used to be this charming, quaint. You lived there too, Jeff. Wonderful city by the
you
bay.
know what? So I left. I came into New York and I said, "What the F did you just do, you idiot? You left the easiest, nicest place on earth." Wow. I tried to go back. I didn't. And then I realized my home was in New York. And then, you know what? San Francisco came to feel very small to me.
It is very small. It's a sleepy
very
fishing
small.
village. People think it's
Really
a city.
is.
It's 400,000 people in 7 square miles.
7 by 7 miles.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's not a big city at all. It's charming. It has some wonderful restaurants. I love it, but it's been ruined, and I just hope that all these people leave and they fix it because I used
A
I'm
few
old
times
enough to
I've been able to
remember-
see San Francisco. It's nice, but I haven't been able to see it much since I've been here.
Oh, that's
you
right.
shouldn't go right now. It's
Not
not.
now.
It's not a good place. It's Needle
Not
Park.
now.
It's not nice. I'm sad to say.
It was a lovely, wonderful place. I loved living there. I loved
loved
working
it.
for
I
the
loved
X.
working there. Yeah.
But it was the right time in life, too. I was 23 years old when I left or something
You
like
were.
that.
You were that
I
young.
like San Francisco.
Well, no, I was a little older than that.
So
I arrived there at age 20.
when you were writing for the Examiner, you were in your 20s.
I was 23.
You were a kid.
Wow.
I was definitely a kid.
Yeah.
And
I was.
column
Well, I
in the
read
Examiner.
you. Yeah.
And still cranky.
Yeah,
He was a cranky
Yeah.
kid.
yeah, it was. But my hair wasn't white then.
A cranky kid. Aunt, what's your thing?
My thing is called Canvas, and what this is a film on Netflix that I had no idea about. It's led by a black creative artist.
It's short. It's a 9-minute film. It's a short film.
And it's a 9-minute film, and I had no idea about this thing. When I searched for it on Netflix and pulled it up, the algorithm said it was a 67% match for me. That's why Netflix never showed it to me, because I typically don't watch stuff like this. But it was rather charming, and it's only 9 minutes of your time. So go over there, watch it,
Oh, it's like
show
an
that studio
animated
some
short.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
something
I
that's
freaking love my
happening
daughter and I watch
lately
this all
on Netflix that I'm really encouraged by. They have a lot of shorts.
This one was really good. It definitely will tug at the heart. So go give
Nice.
it 9 minutes of your time and give it a nice rating so these people can get some
Get
more
your
work.
hanky out.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Netflix is recommending Death to 2020 to me.
Oh no!
Yeah, it
If you
recommended that
watch-
one to me too.
If you watch Canvas, it recommends a film called "If Anything Happens, I Love You," which is
Oh,
a 12-minute
dear.
animation of grieving parents after the death of a child.
Oh, no. Nobody who's
I
a
can't do
parent
that. I
could
can't
watch
do
that.
that.
No.
I can't. No.
I can't.
The only people who watch that kind of
can't
thing
do
are
it.
people who have no kids.
Yeah.
It's too painful.
Yeah,
Too
you can't-
painful.
you can't- I never. Are you watching Bridgerton?
Back to
Is it
Canvas.
good? I want to watch Bridgerton.
I
What
don't
do you
know.
think?
Uh,
I like
Queen
period.
Pruitt is
I like
loving it.
period
She saw
dramas.
that shit last last night.
Did she like it?
Queen Pruitt started watching it last night and had to make herself stop. I was like, I wanted to watch it too. And
she was binging it.
Late.
Oh.
Yeah. So
good. I might be watching that tonight.
is.
I love period dramas like that.
By the way, speaking of the royal household, your family picture, Aunt, was just spectacular. I loved it. It's perfect.
Thank you.
Where can we
Gothic,
see
especially
that?
The dog's expression.
I think that's becoming a Christmas norm now. Just taking a family picture here, just set up the tripod and we sit down and snap a photo. It's somewhere on Twitter. I don't.
You don't.
And Ant's T-shirt says nap, but the geeks among us thought it said WAP.
Yes, something else. It didn't say
wireless X. So you didn't put it on your Insta?
No, it's like
No, sir.
The mobile the mobile standard.
Yeah. WAP.
Oh man.
Wow.
I didn't think geeks. I thought,
I know.
No.
He doesn't.
Geek.
Jeff doesn't know about Cardi B.
There it is. I found it.
Megan V.
I put it in the IRC.
Oh.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking, I'm so geeky. How geeky
Although
am I?
it would be.
I'm so geeky.
He thought it was a 20-year-old wireless standard instead of.
Well, because it was a geek who pointed it out.
Right.
He was just
Sorry about
testing you, I think.
Ant's like, please do not talk about my family photo this way, y'all.
Although,
No, please don't.
why do you have WAP on your T-shirt? I don't.
No, it's not.
That is adorable. Do you mind if I show
Isn't
that?
that
I guess not. It's
great?
on Twitter, right? That's
It's on
really
Twitter,
sweet.
right? And I just put it in the chat room, so we're good.
Oh,
So,
that's
Yeah, I
really
put it on
sweet.
Twitter. That's why I figured it was okay. to
That's
talk
the
about.
They're
It's
so
I love the
happy.
dog's expression.
Hardheads,
It's
Queen
just the
Pruitt,
best.
Kylo, and Biscuit.
I love your family.
Kylo's expression is just the best.
I haven't met Biscuit yet, but I love your family.
Yeah, we've only had Biscuit
Biscuit's a great
about
name.
a month now. Because we had to put our other dog down a couple of months ago, so we got a new dog. And
What a cute
his
How are
name is
Kylo and
Biscuit.
Biscuit getting along?
Oh, it's
How are they
perfectly
getting
fine.
along?
They play all
Yeah.
the time.
You know what? Your boys have the nicest smiles. They look.
Yep.
They just look so sweet. Is that
Everyone
got
in that
good
family has
genes,
a nice
damn it.
smile.
Good genes is right.
They got good genes.
Wow.
They're all photogenic. Like, you take a picture of my family, I look weird. My husband looks fine. My daughter looks either weird or fine, depending on if she's channeling me or my husband that day.
She got 50-50.
Not good.
All right, we're going to let
Exactly.
Stacey go because she has her Spanish session to get to.
She's got to turn on the heat.
She's starting to look
firing
like
up the
Bob
Rosetta Stone.
Cratchit. No more coal on the fire, Higginbotham.
I just added the gloves. Come on,
Merry
y'all.
Christmas to us all. What are you doing for New Year's Eve, Stacey?
I don't have. I'm trying to think of something. Learning a TikTok dance if I can convince my family.
Get your family to do that. Come on now.
I mean, y'all won't know. But wait, didn't Jeff have a number or something?
Yeah, he did. And he
did
did it.
People
He did
leaving.
Yeah.
People
Oh,
leaving
right.
San Francisco.
See?
I have more, Stacey.
time.
If you want more,
No,
we
no,
can
no.
keep the show
No,
going.
no.
No, we're good.
We can
Stacey
talk
on
about Amazon's 1.5 billion packages. I can do more in the third person effect. We got lots of numbers, Stacey.
numbers. I
know-
got
I know you want
numbers. I got all your numbers. Stacey on IoT is her website, her podcast, the IoT podcast with Kevin Toffel. You could find it there. Her newsletter is free for reasons no one understands. But here's the thing.
I get paid.
She gets paid because she's got a deal. She's living on tribal lands, or I don't know what it is. There's something we deep. I don't know where that came from.
What?
Oh man, the people gotta watch the video
Okay.
this week.
Okay, so I'm going to do my exit talk. Stacey Higginbotham. So glad to have been here. You can check it at staceyoniot.com, the Internet of Things podcast, or you can subscribe to my newsletter, which is free.
Didn't I just
And
say
now, yeah, without any weird editorializing.
that? I didn't even
What about
editorialize.
Ant?
All right, Ant Pruitt. He's the host of Hands-On Photography,
That's
twit.tv/hop. He is a gentleman and a scholar and a just darn fine person to have around. And it's nice to see you.
I have my moments.
He has his moments. He's just too sweet. That's the problem. And, of course, this grumpy guy to my left.
I am the Leonard Tao Professor of Journalism Innovation and Director of the Town Knight Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York.
And he's at buzzmachine.com and at Jeff Jarvis. And Simon or Schuster, if you're listening, he's got a book. Either Simon or Schuster. I like Simon and Garfunkel myself, but I don't think they put books out.
So I tried to do a discussion with somebody at the school this week, and something was complicated was going on. I said, it's a big circle. It's a great mandala. Does that mean anything to you, Stacey or Ant? Anything?
A mandala?
He meant Mandela. Mandela is the former leader of South Africa.
Right.
Yeah, I was like,
yes, okay. But do you know the song?
It's
What
a great
song?
mandala.
I don't know the song.
no, it doesn't mean anything to me. And I love
You
Simon
do
and
it.
Garfunkel.
No, it's not Simon.
No,
Garfunkel.
I don't know
Paul
the
Mary.
song.
It was the same era.
I'm oldish, not old.
It's our friend
Yeah,
Peter
trust me.
Yarrow, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're all riding the
I actually
great...
heard the great Mandela one day when I walked up
Mandela.
into Albert Grossman's office.
He said Mandela.
That's Richie Havens. He can say whatever he wants.
Oh,
Ladies
I
and
love
gentlemen,
it.
we have just completed the last This Week in Google of 2020. Finally!
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I wish I had one of those little.
We will be back on January 6th, 2021 with an all-new year and an all-new show. We do the
Leo
show.
thinks it's going to be as bad as 2020 because Leo is in that mood.
I think it's going to be the best.
Oh, good.
Best year ever.
Simply the best.
Oh,
Biscuit. There's a biscuit. Oh, you little biscuit. Is he full grown or is Biscuit going to get bigger?
Nah, he's gonna grow a little bit more.
Not much,
Oh,
though.
he's
a jack.
great.
Look at his
Jack and
patchy
Corgi.
eye. Oh, he's so
Yeah.
Oh, God, I want a biscuit right now. Badly.
Stop trying to
Biscuit.
kiss
If I were you, I would get another dog named Butter.
cute. No, biscuits and gravy.
Or Honey. How about Honey? If I were you,
Baby.
Gravy will be the next one.
Thank you, Aunt. Fellow Southerner here.
Gravy will be the next one.
we will be back next Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC. You can watch us do it live. As with all our shows, we stream a behind-the-scenes production at twit.tv/live audio and videos there. Chat with us if you're doing it live, irc.twit.tv. After the fact, our forums are at www.twit.community, and it's a great place to hang there. Oh, look at that. I haven't seen that in a long time. It's beautiful. We also have a...
You were just in there yesterday.
I know. I go in there every day. I have to. We have a YouTube channel devoted entirely to this show and all of our shows. Each show has its own channel. You can also get the latest episode at our website, twit.tv/twig. But the best thing to do would be find yourself a wonderful... That's my page. That's the great mandala. I didn't know Richie Havens wrote it, though. That's what's cool about that.
What, he did?
Yeah. He wrote it.
I was the greatest Richie Havens fan.
Are you just torturing me? End the show already.
And it's the wheel of life, baby. You know, one of my highlights of my radio show.
Richie Havens.
The highlights of my radio show, Richie Havens came in, sat right across from me, played All Along the Watchtower on his guitar. And he really ripped into it. It was the greatest moment, one of the greatest moments.
He would take his false teeth out because he got irritated with them, and he would throw them into the
Jeez, I don't remember
guitar.
that.
Yeah.
Real talent. Really, really, really talented.
Brilliant.
Thanks, everybody. Stacey, go ahead. Have a great New Year's. You going to do anything fun, Aunt, for New Year's Eve?
Watch football.
Yeah, watch football, of course.
That's about all I do.
New
is
Year's
just watch
Day is
football
about football.
and
Yeah.
have scotch.
I told Lisa if we retire, we're moving to a college town with a good football team, and we're just.
Oh,
gonna
you're
become
moving to
Pruitt.
Austin. Oh, no. Not
Well,
a good football team.
No, not Austin. Not right now, anyway.
I know you'd say Clemson, but seriously, there's a lot of places with good college football teams, but not
Yeah,
one that's so.
there's a
Clemson,
lot.
you probably can't get tickets to. So it has to be something a little smaller than that. Well, I'll consult with you.
No, you can.
I'll consult
You
with you.
can. You're Leo Laporte. They'll give you some tickets. People like you.
No, I don't know. Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year, Jeff. Have a wonderful
Happy New Year.
evening tomorrow. Stay safe, everybody. Wear your masks. We're not out of this yet, but the light is at the end of the tunnel. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you next year on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.